Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on Sunday, the 18th of June. Happy Father's Day. In this half hour, we bring you the latest news, stories from the community, economic indicators, tomorrow's weather and sports. I am Ashwin Berry. In the news tonight, at the SWAPO Central Committee meeting held on Saturday, President Hage Geingob emphasized that SWAPO has never adopted a position allowing for the legalization of same-sex marriages and has urged party members to remain calm following a recent Supreme Court ruling on the matter of same-sex marriages.
First thing we must know in SWAPO is that in 1917, I think, already with a constitution, a law drafted with General H.C. to define what family is. He said family will be a man and a woman. That's SWAPO's position. Now why do we get excited as SWAPO? Our national constitution is equally very explicit. It defines marriage to be between man and woman. Constitution is very clear. It does not change. Why was this excitement? Maybe a revolution. The court didn't say they are abolishing that. They interpreted a certain part of the whatever immigration or so on. So we have put our heads together, we put our lawyers together.
At the same Central Committee meeting, SWAPO resolved to direct government to immediately take executive and legislative steps aimed at introducing a Namibian law compliant of the word spouse, which the party understands is applicable between heterosexual couples. The party says it condemns immoral and indecent acts that are inconsistent with Namibian law or against public policy.
Is a marriage between a man and a woman. This legislative policy and constitutional state of affairs also confirm the SWAPO party marriage policy, both before and after independence to date. The Central Committee recalled that the right for men and women of full age to marry and found a family was deliberately and consciously at the instance and insistence by SWAPO party during the deliberations at the Constituent Assembly, included in the Constitution as it represented its marriage and family policy as codified on 1st December 1977. The Central Committee, notwithstanding its concern and disappointment over the judgment, reiterates and reaffirms the SWAPO party's commitment to constitutional provisions under Article 78 sub 3, that is, non-interference with the judiciary and the protection of the dignity and effectiveness of courts. The Central Committee, having carefully considered and reflected on the matter, therefore resolved to direct government to immediately take executive and legislative steps aimed at introducing a Namibian law compliant definition of the word spouse into the Immigration Control Act, which definition will inevitably modify, not repeal, the common law principle applied by the Supreme Court only for purposes of Section 2, Sub 1C of the Immigration Control Act, of the Act, my apologies. Finally, while the SWAPO party government takes above directed statutory remedial steps, the SWAPO party hereby strongly condemns and repudiate all kinds of immoral and indecent acts and other associated acts that are either inconsistent with the Namibian laws or against public policy.
President Hage Geingob will on Monday host Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, who will be on a joint working visit to Namibia. The joint working visit by the Right Honourable Prime Ministers of Denmark and the Netherlands will present the three countries with a great opportunity to strengthen dialogue on global challenges and opportunities, as well as widen the coordinated and genuine partnerships between the three countries and their people, the presidency said. The Side-by-Side Early Intervention Center in Windhoek recently received 10,000 Namibian dollars from the DTS Sports Club of Windhoek. The cash was raised with the DTS organized Windhoek Draft Volleyball for All tournament. Every year in Windhoek, the club actively promotes social responsibility initiatives. Due to its great reputation in the neighborhood, the Side-by-Side Early Intervention Center in Katutura was chosen as the donation's beneficiary. The center's mission is to provide educational, sporting and recreational opportunities for Katutura's adolescents and children who are less fortunate, therefore giving them a greater opportunity at a bright future. With dams running dry at a rapid rate, the city of Windhoek this week resorted to supplementing the capital's drinking water supply through its emergency borehole scheme. At least 10 suburbs in Windhoek are already receiving borehole water. This follows after the city council decided to implement water restrictions as part of its drought response plan. According to a notice issued by the Office of the Chief Executive Officer, there may be some observable changes from the norm with regards to the taste, color and smell of the drinking water. However, residents are assured that the drinking water is suitable for human consumption. Certain neighborhoods will only receive borehole water, while others will receive a mixture of borehole and municipal water. In Community Talk tonight, we track back to the Networking Forum for Development Finance Institutions.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraitha. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Martin Inkumbi, Chief Executive Officer of Development Bank of Namibia and Chair of the 4-day Networking Forum for Development Finance Institutions, spoke about the objectives of the forum and how it will help shape Namibia. Desiree Casas attended the forum.
That the 4 Namibian development institutions, that is DBN, Agribank, NHE, and the Environmental Investment Fund, they are all members of the SADC DFI networks, and we therefore participate in this what we call DFI CEO Forum. It's a forum that takes place usually when the DFI network meetings takes place. And this forum we use to share experiences, draw lessons from the experience of other DFIs in other member countries, and through that help build capacity of our own institution. So that is really the purpose. And today's topic was about how do we balance development impact, which is usually the mandate of the DFIs, and also remaining sustainable. It was very, very important, for example, today when the discussion was about profit with a purpose or sustainability with a purpose, basically meaning that it is possible for development finance institutions to be able to deliver development impact. In other words, financing those projects that are impacting the livelihood of people but still remain financially sustainable. That it's not sustainability versus impact, but it's impact with sustainability. So that is the lesson that we are drawing from today. So on the question in terms of what is the value add to the Namibian DFIs, obviously we are tapping knowledge, we are tapping experience, we are talking about cooperation, working together with regional DFIs to finance projects not only in Namibia but obviously across the SADC region. There is a recognition that we cannot develop in silos. The whole region need to develop and move in tandem. If we are talking about Namibia being a transport and logistics hub, for example, it is going to be very important that we coordinate the development of transport infrastructure, be it railways, be it roads, be it the port expansion here in Walvis Bay. In terms of untapped, there is always opportunities in all sectors. I do believe, for example, that there is immense opportunity still in agriculture in Namibia, for example. We can expand our agricultural production for local consumption and possibly for export. There is opportunities also in value adds, be it in pharmaceutical, even just inputs that we are consuming here in Namibia. If you go into specific products, for example, you can talk about poultry. We're still importing part of the poultry products that we are consuming. There is an opportunity to produce them here. So a lot of opportunities do exist in Namibia that can be exploited. They require proper planning, proper skills, and I think appropriate capital, that especially patient capital that is able to take a very long-term view. We talk about this, young people find it very difficult to access finance because in the space of finance, whenever you're looking for money, whoever is giving you money want to know how would you be able to pay it back? What if you fail? What's my fallback position? Have you got security? Have you got something to put on your table yourself? And then obviously young people don't have that. Now, yes, there is specific interventions needed. We at the DBN, for example, 3 years back introduced what we call a skills-based loan facility. Under that program, the bank is able to advance small loans starting from 50,000 Namibian dollar up to $1 million to young people who have got a specific skill and are able to start a business within the area where they have got that specific skill. So
Legal aid in Oshakati headlines our story of the day. Stay with us.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Oshakati residents received free legal advice in the town in an exercise organized by the Law Society of Namibia in partnership with the Office of the Ombudsman and the Master of the High Court. The event was held at the Oshakati Town Council Civic Center. Pius Kwambi, a member of the Law Society, said the regular free legal advice days are part of its objectives to make legal services more accessible to the public, especially considering the costs involved in accessing legal advice.
It also comes at a very big fee. So we don't want to just, our members of the Law Society, legal practitioners, to just be seen as those that are just after money, charging. They also go out there and do community service, pro bono services, giving legal advice at no charge. So the Office of the Ombudsman and the Law Society really just came up with this collaborative project, which we have been doing in a number of regions, to basically just afford members of the public this day and a few hours to consult with our members at no charge for whatever questions that you might have from various areas of law. So we are also joined by the colleagues from the Ministry of Labour, the Office of the Labour Commissioner to be specific. So the labour disputes will be handled by them. We also have a representative from the Office of the Master of the High Court. So regarding your estates, inheritance, and all those, she will be.
Analysts have warned that the controversy surrounding Namibia breaking the peg arrangement with South Africa can lead to hyperinflation. This story leads us into economic news after the break.
To another exciting episode of Oneuptwo. Jou is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle mondelik gaan byt.
Let's get into the economic news. The controversy surrounding Namibia breaking the peg arrangement with South Africa can lead to hyperinflation, analysts have warned. If the peg breaks, considering that Namibia is dependent on imports from South Africa, Namibia's exchange rates will increase and hyperinflation can happen overnight. These sentiments were shared by Dr. John Statler, a board member of the Economic Association of Namibia, at a public discussion on rising inflation and interest rates. According to the Namibia Statistics Agency, South Africa was Namibia's top import market in April 2023, accounting for 46.7% of total imports, valued at 4.1 billion Namibian dollars. Exports to South Africa stood at 1.6 billion Namibian dollars in April, making Namibia a net importer. The head of research at Ceres Capital, Robert McGregor, also concurred with Statler and cautioned that the discussions surrounding adopting a different regime should be considered very carefully, as it could have huge implications. On the other hand, McGregor noted that if the Namibian dollar is stronger than the rand, export earnings from key economic sectors such as agriculture and mining will be impacted positively. Meanwhile, the governor of the Bank of Namibia on Wednesday stated that the current peg arrangement with South Africa is competitive at this point. Let's head into the economic indicators. Gold and platinum are trading down 0.04% and 0.53% respectively. 18.18 Namibian dollars gets you $1 US, with 1 Chinese yuan getting you 2.55 Namibian dollars. Looking back at commodities, copper and Brent crude oil made upticks of 0.90% and 0.87% respectively. In international news tonight, we zone in on Russian President Vladimir Putin rebutting key elements of African peace plan for Ukraine. Stay with Sunset News.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Russian President Vladimir Putin gave African leaders seeking to mediate in the war in Ukraine a list of reasons why he believed many of their proposals were misguided, pouring cold water on a plan already largely dismissed by Kyiv. The African leaders were seeking an agreement on a series of confidence-building measures, even as Kyiv last week began a counter-offensive to push back Russian forces from the swathes of southern and eastern Ukraine that they occupy. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said after meeting them in Kyiv on Friday that peace talks would require Moscow to withdraw its forces from occupied Ukrainian territory, something Russia has said is not negotiable. Now, Putin opened Saturday's talks with representatives of Senegal, Egypt, Zambia, Uganda, Congo, Comoros and South Africa in a place near St. Petersburg by stressing Russia's commitment to the continent. But after presentations from the Comoran, Senegalese and South African presidents, he stepped in to challenge the assumptions of the plan, predicated on acceptance of internationally recognized borders before the round of statements could go any further. Putin reiterated his position that Ukraine and its Western allies had started the conflict long before Russia sent its armed forces over the border in February last year. He said the West, not Russia, was responsible for a sharp rise in global food prices early last year that has hit Africa especially hard. After the break, we take a look at the weather predictions.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's get into the weather predictions just before we dive straight into your sports stories. Katima Mulilo, Rundu and Anana are sunny along with a lot of the northern. Namibia, Ruakana is 29 degrees hot, whilst Hobabis and Windhoek are expecting some cold temperatures, Windhoek being the colder of the two with a 6-degree minimum expected. Rehoboth and Mariento are partly cloudy, whilst Aranos and Luderitz expect 9 degree minimums, and Oranienburg expects a 17-degree maximum heading into tomorrow. Entertaining and tense rugby action was the order of the weekend in the Namibia Rugby Union Premier League as several clashes took place around the country. Now, following last week's deflating loss against the Kudus, FNB UNAM needed a comeback win, and it is exactly what they attained as they proved too strong for FNB Grootfontein, defeating them 44-17. The first day of the second round of the Central Volleyball Association League saw the Afrocat and NDF ladies go up against each other at the Israel Patrick Iyambo Police College. Afrocat won 3-2, beating NDF. And Brazil outclassed Guinea 4-1 in a friendly on Saturday as Jolinton, Rodrigo, Ide Militao and Vinicius Jr. scored for the 5-time world champions who wore an all-black kit in the first half to promote an anti-racism campaign. It was the first of 2 friendlies for Brazil against African nations in support of Real Madrid forward Vinicius, who was racially abused in a La Liga match at Valencia in May. The 10th time incidents involving him have been reported by La Liga to prosecutors this season. Newcastle United midfielder Jolinton made his international debut, opening the scoring in the 26th minute. Stay with us as we head into the highlights after the break.
To another exciting episode of Oneuptwo. Jullie is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
Let's get into the highlights from this evening's broadcast. At the SWAPO Central Committee meeting held on Saturday, President Hage Geingob emphasized that SWAPO has never adopted a position allowing for the legalization of same-sex marriages and has urged party members to remain calm. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday gave African leaders seeking to mediate in the war in Ukraine a list of reasons why he believed many of their proposals were misguided, pouring cold water on a plan already largely dismissed by Kyiv. And FNB UNAM proved too strong for FNB Grootfontein, defeating them 44-17 in their Namibia Rugby Union Premier League clash in Grootfontein. And with that, we have come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook on all the NMH platforms, as well as on our website, oneuptwo.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV 2 at 5, GoTV 25, every weekday and Sunday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Ashwin Berry. This has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us. Bye.